what if the key, the real key to unlocking that life of abundance you're imagining, what if it isn't somewhere off in the future? What if it's actually, like, hidden right here in your present moment?
That's a powerful starting point.
Welcome, everyone, to Manifestation Matters. This is where we dive deep into the ideas that, well, that really transform things.
Yeah.
And today, we're exploring something pretty crucial, I think. Is it possible? Really possible? That true wealth isn't about what you don't have yet.
Right.
But maybe it's about the person you choose to become. Right here, right now.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how most of us kind of live under this illusion that success has this perfect timing.
Yeah, the right moment.
Exactly. We wait for the external stuff, the validation, the better finances, that promotion, or, even just for other people to believe in us first.
Before we let ourselves really go for it.
Precisely. But what we see again and again is that the actual critical moment to start embodying that person you want to be, it's now. Right now, before any of those external things change.
Absolutely. So think of this deep dive as like a direct invitation, a call to action, maybe?
I like that.
To reconnect with that inner voice, that spark that tells you you're meant for something bigger.
That little knowing.
Yeah, if you feel that sense of untapped potential, a fuller life waiting, then you'll really want to stick with us today.
Okay, so one thing we consistently see is how people feel stuck, really stuck, even when they're incredibly busy.
Right, they're doing stuff but not moving forward.
Exactly. Running around, ticking boxes, but internally, there's this feeling of not actually getting anywhere near their real goals.
Why is that usually?
Well, often it boils down to waiting for fear to just magically disappear.
Or for the perfect opportunity to land in their lap.
Or that feeling of being totally 100% ready, prepared for anything.
Which, well, it's a trap, isn't it? That fantasy of total preparedness.
It really is. It's almost a mirage. Waiting for that feeling is like a sailor waiting for perfectly calm winds to set sail.
It's just not going to happen.
Never happens, and this is key. We need to start reinterpreting that uncomfortable feeling we call fear.
Okay, how so?
Instead of seeing it as a stop sign, a red light warning you off.
Yeah.
Think of it more like a directional arrow, a green light even, pointing you towards significant transformation.
So the scary path.
Often, yeah, the path that makes you feel most uneasy. That's often the one leading directly to more wealth, more freedom, more purpose.
Okay, now that's interesting. Because what is that fear, really, when we think about change or chasing a big goal?
Well, digging into it, fear is often a residual emotion. It's like an echo.
An echo of what?
An echo of a past version of you, a version that didn't fully grasp its own power yet. It's built on old memories, past disappointments, stories we tell ourselves that might not even be true anymore.
And if we just let that fear run the show without questioning it?
It becomes this incredibly powerful governing force, doesn't it? It's that quiet voice behind the constant maybe later, or that nagging feeling of I'm not enough. But here's the big question to ask yourself. What if you're meant for more than just survival? What if abundance isn't something you earn through suffering?
But something you align with?
Exactly. What if it's an alignment that happens the moment you stop letting fear have the final say?
Which brings us straight to the brain and how it processes all this.
Absolutely. Our brain and body are literally shaped by repetition. It's how we learn, how we form habits.
Okay.
And without realizing it, many of us rehearse scarcity every single day through repetitive thoughts, worries, actions based on avoiding loss.
While hoping things will somehow change.
Right. But for real change to happen, you need to interrupt that cycle. The brain needs a new signal, a new belief, a different emotional frequency.
And fear is the big interrupter there.
It's a powerful block, and it's vital to get this. Your brain doesn't clearly distinguish between a real threat happening right now.
And a remembered one.
Exactly. A memory loaded with anxiety feels just as real physiologically.
So when you think about taking that leap, starting the business, asking for the raise,
your brain dredges up those old fear-tinted memories, that time you failed, that rejection, that moment of embarrassment.
Oof, yeah.
And your body reacts as if it's happening again. Heart pounds, muscles tense, mind races, and you pull back.
So the threat isn't the uncertain future, it's the echo of the past.
Precisely. And that pattern reinforces itself. You pull back, nothing bad happens immediately, so the fear seems justified. See, I was right to be scared.
But fear being loud doesn't mean it's wise.
Not at all. Fear screams loudest when it feels its grip loosening. It's the voice of survival, absolutely, but it's not the guide for expansion, for growth.
Okay.
The life you actually want, the financial freedom, the inner peace, it lies on the other side of that fear barrier.
It's amazing how physical this is, not just in our heads.
Oh, completely. There's real biology here.
Ah.
Studies show when you mentally rehearse failure scenarios, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol. Your focus narrows, you go into defense mode.
Right, fight or flight.
But, and this is the fascinating part, when you visualize success deeply and emotionally, your brain interprets that as a present experience too.
So it works both ways.
It does. Your nervous system calms down, creativity flows more easily, confidence gets a boost.
So that idea, I think it's Dr. Joe Dispenza's, about mentally rehearsing success.
It's incredibly powerful because your body responds to what your mind believes is happening now.
And this connects directly to wealth.
Absolutely. Wealth doesn't show up first in the bank account. It shows up first in the mindset.
People who achieve wealth, they just think differently.
They really do. They don't tend to see money as this limited, scarce resource. They don't feel guilty for wanting more. They aren't paralyzed by uncertainty.
And fear.
They see fear differently, more like a compass, something intriguing. When something feels a bit scary, they often lean into it because intuitively they know that's where the growth is.
Let's go back to that image you mentioned, the door.
Yeah, imagine a door right in front of you. On the other side is everything you desire: freedom, travel, peace, financial ease.
Okay.
But standing right in front of the door is that feeling. Fear. We assume the door is locked.
But it isn't.
It isn't locked. It opens the moment you decide to move through the fear. Not around it, not waiting for it to vanish. Through it.
And that step happens right in the middle of feeling uncertain?
Exactly. Fear whispers, it's too risky. Abundance answers, this is how risk becomes a reward.
Fear says you're not prepared.
And the truth replies, you've always been more prepared than you believed. The difference between staying stuck and finding freedom is the choice made right then. When fear shows up, one person steps back, the other steps forward.
And I think one of the biggest traps here is waiting for certainty. Absolute certainty.
Oh, a huge trap. People postpone so much waiting for the perfect plan, the guaranteed outcome. But absolute certainty, it's an illusion.
Even seemingly safe paths have unknowns.
Of course they do. Caution isn't always intelligence. Real wealth, real fulfillment, it's created in that space of the unknown but the aligned unknown, where you trust yourself to adapt even if you can't see the final step.
Everyone who's achieved something significant faced that.
Every single one. They felt the insecurity, the fear, but they chose trust anyway. Trust in themselves, trust in the process.
Which is why the deepest transformation doesn't come from just strategy or luck.
Exactly. It comes when you become someone new, someone who no longer lets fear make the final decision.
And that doesn't mean ignoring fear.
Not at all. It means feeling it, fully acknowledging it, and acting anyway. Those who thrive understand this. The feeling of unease before a big step. It's universal. The difference is what they do next.
Because once you push through that barrier,
The fear starts to lose its volume, right? That inner voice saying you can't gets quieter, and a new one emerges. You just did.
and confidence builds from there.
It builds through action, through collecting proof. Proof of your capability, proof the past doesn't dictate the future, proof that fear wasn't the real enemy after all.
So the real enemy is hesitation.
Absolutely, that gap between desire and decision. That's where fear creeps in and convinces you to stay put. The longer you hesitate, the stronger fear gets.
But action, even small action.
Breaks the spell. Even the smallest step builds momentum against fear.
So the key question for anyone listening is, what have you been avoiding? What idea keeps popping up, even if it makes you uncomfortable? What dream feels both exciting and terrifying?
That's the signal. That's the path inviting you. And understand, it probably won't feel comfortable at first.
Okay, that's important.
You might feel messy, disorganized inside, but that's not necessarily bad. That's the old self dissolving to make way for the new. It's what expansion feels like the caterpillar transforming.
So how do we break that old habit? How do we allow that transformation?
You have to be willing to let go of the version of you addicted to comfort, loyal to fear, married to doubt.
Because the future you want.
It needs a bolder version of you, a braver you, one tuned into possibility, not past pain. It's not about having every step mapped out. It's about trusting the first step.
Clarity comes through action.
Confidence comes through action. And real lasting wealth comes from that internal alignment, not just a perfect strategy. We are designed to expand, grow, thrive, despite the fear.
And it's so crucial to realize the biggest block to financial success often isn't external.
It's not the economy or your education or past experiences. It's how your mind has been trained, conditioned to think about money.
People unknowingly limit their dreams.
They shrink them down to fit their doubts. They repeat the same old stories of lack, not realizing their reality keeps reflecting those ingrained beliefs.
Look, there's something different about those who break that cycle.
Yes, those who truly shift their financial realities start by making a fundamental decision. They stop letting the past define their future.
Okay.
They begin actively training their mind to live as if the life they desire is already here, now.
Yeah.
And that changes everything.
So imagining that financial freedom, feeling those emotions of abundance.
You start making decisions from that place. Behaving in alignment with that identity of someone who knows they're successful, your brain physically rewires. Your body memorizes this new state of being. It's not just wishful thinking, it's a real transformation from the inside out.
What about people who think, well, I'll feel abundant when I have the money?
That's the paradox, isn't it? You're waiting for the outside world to give you permission to feel different inside.
Believing money has to come first.
But the energy of the universe doesn't quite work like that. It responds to who you are, your dominant thoughts and feelings, not just your wish list. Constantly focusing on lack just tunes you into the lack frequency.
So how do we break that loop?
Instead of just reacting to circumstances, you actively create your reality. You practice becoming the version of you who already has what you want.
How does that look practically?
You choose to walk like that person, think like that person, feel like that person. As you do, your energy shifts. Your choices change. Your results start to mirror that inner state. Your brain starts accepting this new version as the truth.
And this contrasts so sharply with, say, the average person waking up and immediately checking their bank balance with dread.
Exactly. That person is reliving past financial mistakes, expecting difficulty. That emotional state becomes their filter for reality. So even if a great opportunity comes along, they might not even see it, or they might reject it because it doesn't match their vibration.
Which is why feeling the feeling before the event is so key.
Yes. Entering the emotional state of the life you want before it shows up physically. It's biological conditioning. Consistent practice trains your brain to expect success, trains your body to get used to the feeling of abundance. That's where real change begins.
Because money is energy.
It's energy. It flows and it responds to emotion, belief, expectation.
So chasing it from fear or desperation.
It actually blocks it. You can work incredibly hard, but it feels like swimming upstream because the signal you're sending out is, I don't have enough. But when you align with abundance authentically, when you stop chasing and start being the person who already lives in that state, your energy becomes magnetic. You start attracting ideas, people, opportunities that resonate with that new frequency, like tuning a radio dial.
The most successful people, they weren't riddled with doubt.
No, their vibration wasn't tuned to fear. They expected success. They assumed it. And that conviction shaped everything, their mindset, mood, actions, and ultimately, their finances.
This isn't just faking positivity, though.
No, definitely not. It's about intentionally training a new emotional baseline, one that's aligned with the life you desire. Feeling rich now teaches your body to hold that vibration until the external world catches up. And it does.
It's like resetting your internal thermostat.
That's a great analogy. Your mind has a default setting, struggle, scarcity, survival mode. If you try to rise above it without changing the setting,
The subconscious pulls you back.
exactly. That's self-sabotage in action. Returning to what's familiar, even if it's uncomfortable. If the identity doesn't change, the reality won't permanently change either.
So the fix is,
Reset the thermostat. Change the identity. Stop thinking, feeling, and acting like the old you. Break the emotional addiction to struggle.
okay, picture this. Someone with zero memory of financial stress.
Yeah, someone who never felt limited by money, who fully trusts their worth, never second guesses. How would they show up? What conversations would they have? What risks would they take? What energy would they radiate?
That version is accessible.
Right now, it just takes the courage to claim it.
It sounds scary, though. Believing before you see proof, acting rich when bills are due, being confident when your past says otherwise.
It is scary. But that specific discomfort, that's the signpost, that's the fear that leads to transformation and freedom. So the real question isn't when will the money come?
Please?
When will you decide to become the person money flows to naturally? The moment you make that true decision, an emotional, spiritual, energetic commitment to a new identity, that's when everything starts shifting.
We have to train our minds beyond our current conditions.
To step into that new life of wealth, Your mind has to be reconditioned to experience the future before it happens physically, feeling like you already have it, even when the evidence contradicts it. Again, not faking it, but genuinely changing how your mind and body respond.
Our brains are wired for safety, right?
Right.
Predicting the future based on the familiar past.
Even if that familiar past was negative, yes. The brain sees it as known territory. So stepping into wealth before it arrives feels dangerous because the old identity, the one prone to worry, procrastination, has to dissolve.
It's like loss.
It can feel like loss, but you're actually making space for your true self, the confident, clear, wealth-aligned version of you.
Letting go of that old identity. It feels like walking blind.
There's resistance, doubt creeps in, it's normal. But that discomfort is a necessary part of becoming someone new, like a snake shedding its skin. It has to happen for growth.
And when that old identity does dissolve,
Things start looking different. Problems become possibilities. Blocks become tests. Money stops being something you chase and starts feeling natural, magnetic even. You become the type of person wealth is drawn to.
because wealth responds to energy, certainty, not just hard work.
Exactly. When you start walking, talking, thinking, feeling like someone who is already wealthy, your world literally starts to rearrange itself around that energy. People notice. They treat you differently. Opportunities show up.
It all starts with the decision.
The decision to stop living as who you were and start becoming who you are meant to be. Act confident before you feel it. Feel abundant before things change.
Wealth exists now for the version of you ready to claim it, right here in the present.
And your brain helps. It doesn't really distinguish between a vivid memory and a future vision if the emotion is real enough. Feeling the emotions of being wealthy now reconfigures your brain and body.
So we need to catch those negative thought patterns.
Recognize the worry, the doubt. Interrupt it. Tell yourself, that's the old me. Then consciously choose and feel a new thought. I am abundant. I am open. I am ready.
Requires discipline, like training a muscle.
Repetition, discipline, courage. It's like an athlete's mindset.
They visualize winning, act like winners long before the game.
Same principle applies to wealth. It responds to your identity. It's not about having all the answers, it's about being in the energy of already having what you want. Decisions made from that place change everything.
There's a version of you right now living the life you dream of.
Confident, secure, not stressed about bills. The only thing separating you from that version is your decision.
The mind wants proof first.
But belief has to come first to tune into that right frequency.
So start thinking like someone already free, secure, rich. What decisions, habits, energy would they embody today?
And if it feels scary.
That's usually a sign you're close to something powerful. Fear is often the last guard at the door to a new reality.
Look at anyone successful. They weren't fearless.
They just refuse to let fear stop them.
Exactly. So now it's your turn, your decision. No more waiting, no more seeking permission. Are you staying the old survival mode version or stepping into the new abundance-aligned self?
Feel that potential. Your future is right here, now. Okay, if this deep dive resonated with you, please do give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep bringing you these reminders of your true power.
Yeah, definitely.
And here's something to think about. What's one old belief about yourself and money that you are willing right now, today, to let go of?
Ooh, good one.
Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to see them.
Let's grow together.